till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. On we'll go. On we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. On we'll go.
Hey, what's up YouTube? Today's video is going to be one of the things I do every single league, which is making a video reminding you how fast you can actually level to 90 or 95 in order to play the character of your dreams. You can be crossing the finish line first, just like this guy. In the highlights before, you just saw how you do it. Use Hollow Palm, you go do some breaches, and then you go park yourself in some 5 ways, read a book, watch a movie, and you'll be arriving at your destination, which is your new build at the speed of light. Or it's a speed of sound, right? It's a bullet train. But basically, I'm going to go over how you can level up super fast, how you can cross the finish line before your friends, and how you can win and level with Hollow Palm. So what exactly is this mythical legend Hollow Palm, right? Hollow Palm allows us to stack dexterity, and when we stack dexterity, every 10 dex we get 14 to 20 attack physical damage as long as we are unencumbered. Now, being unencumbered is a good thing because it means we don't need to worry about buying as much leveling gear and having to upgrade our gear throughout the acts. Unencumbered means we can't use a main hand, we can't use an offhand, we can't use gloves, we can't use belt, we can't use boots, we can't use chest, we can't use... Oh wait, we only can't use main hand, offhand, or gloves, right? So just those 3 items. So no hands, no weapons. For Act 1 and 2, we will have to level with another skill while we rush through the Cluster Jewel slot. And this is going to be different for every class, depending on where you're starting and what your starting skill gems are. Or not really starting skill gems, because you can always buy your starting skill gems beforehand. And then from Acts 2 to 10, we'll be using Smite with Hollow Palm to finish the campaign in labs. And then after finishing the campaign, we will spam breaches until we reach level 70. Now, the reason behind level 70 is because level 70, when we do the 5-way leeches, we will no longer have an XP penalty, so we can get maximum XP, right? So we will buy 1 or 2 rounds of 5-way carries to reach level 90 to 95. So 1 round should take you to level 90 from level 70. I did test this yesterday, and I think 3 or 4 rounds should get you to level 95. Not 100% sure about that because I only reached level 90 before I stopped my stream. And this can be completed easily in 4 to 5 hours. You will finish the campaign roughly in I think 2 hours and 30 minutes if you're fast. Or that's what I did yesterday. So basically super fast, right? So preparation, right? Preparation is the key, as this guy sees on his iPad or whatever that is. So you want to be ready to buy all your gems from the vendor and prepare all your leveling uniques. So I did include most of them in the PoB right here. So you can see here. You have the leveling uniques, and then your end game setup: Tabula, Wild Wrap, Brish Wrap, and then you have No Glove, 7 League Step into Garu Han's Flight, Archnemesis into Hinakora's, or you can use Karui Ward early game. Rings, you have La Hoop of All, which you'll pretty much just use the whole game. Darkness and Throne into the Nomad. But let's be real, if you're doing a fast leveling experience, this is the belt for you. You can't not be using a Mage Blood. Mage Blood gives you 40 decks, right? So Mage Blood is actually the belt of choice. But basically, you have a lot of different options, right? So basically, you want to get Helmet, Gold Rim, Chest, Tabula Rasa into 6 League Brish Wrap or Wild Wrap, Boots, 7 League Steps for the 50% move speed, into Garukon's Flight for when you're doing the breaches. Amulet, you want to use Karui Ward or Replica Karui Ward into Archnemesis and then into Hinakora's Sight. So you want to buy all of these. You want to anoint these with Tribal Fury. And rings will be using La Hoop of All. Belt, you want Darkness and Throne so you can get some move speed Abyss Jewels. So you can see here, these Abyss Jewels don't have a level requirement and they give you 8% increased movement speed, right? Or 7% with the 75% increased effect. And Cluster Jewel, you want to use One with Nothing. And One with Nothing is the thing that gives you the Hollow Palm technique, which allows you to punch the mobs to death, right? So the more time you prepare, the less time you'll spend leveling. And this is very, very important to understand. Just like in real life, the more time you spend studying, the less time you will spend cramming, right? And how to level before Hollow Palm. Now, this is where a lot of people get stuck up on. And Hollow Palm, so basically for every single class, you could take this tree very similarly, right? So say you're a witch, you would just beeline to this Cluster Jewel socket or this one over here. Templar is the same exact thing, right? And then you just want to take as much dex nodes as possible or weapon elemental damage nodes. Obviously, for Marauder and Duelist, so Duelist, Ranger, and Shadow will have the easiest start as you do have a lot of dex nodes. So if you're Duelist, you would go out this way. Scion, you kind of take a little bit longer than other classes in order to get to the Cluster Jewel socket. But basically, you want to treat it as like pretty much a gauntlet event, right? Or you want to use the strongest leveling skill possible. And the reason behind that is we don't really get to spend any damage nodes, right? We have damage nodes coming out, but then it's all travel nodes to the Jewel socket. So Witch, Templar, and Shadow, I would recommend using Orb of Storms or Stormblast Mine with some flat added damage wands. You can use crafted wands or you could use unique wands. It doesn't really matter. Marauder, Duelist, and Ranger, I would highly recommend splitting steel while using any unique melee weapon with high physical damage. You could also just use a crafted recipe or essences to roll a two-handed weapon if you don't want to worry about that. But basically, just use the strongest skill possible. It will make your life a lot easier. I did try out using Caustic Arrow, and it was pretty meh, to be honest. I think it was actually slower than using a real strong leveling skill. And as I've been saying, you want to rush the Cluster Jewel socket as fast as possible. So you can see this is a Scion, and you go out this way. You pretty much just beeline straight towards this. Don't take any of these nodes over here. So what happens after you reach Hollow Palm, right? So after you reach Hollow Palm, you'll be using your Smite and your 6-Link Tabula or Brish Wrap or Wild Wrap or whatever. You could also technically use Consecrated Path. Some people do like that skill, and I do know it's pretty good. Some other people even might use Infernal Blow, right? So there's a lot of different things. It does not really matter what you use. In the end, you'll be doing so much damage because you have so much flat fizz that you can pretty much use anything. Even your links are going to be whatever, right? So the nice part about Smite is a strike skill. So that's why we can use Ancestral Call, which helps us with our clear, as it can strike additional nearby enemies. So we have Ancestral Call, elemental damage with attacks, melee physical damage, Trinity, and faster attacks. Now, before you get these links, you can also use Onslaught, you can use added fire damage, and you can also use Maim. So just play around with the links. I would prioritize faster attacks and Onslaught if you do not have them. And then Trinity, once you can get it, you should try to make sure it's up and running. Easiest way to make sure Trinity is up and running is running Hatred and Herald of Ash and taking some of the cold nodes on the tree. So if you can come down here as soon as possible, this will give you a bit of cold damage, and then this node converts your physical damage to cold damage. So it's pretty important. Now buffs, you want to use the Ancestral Protector Totem. If you really wanted to try hard, you could also use Multi-Totem and Ancestral War Chief, but it doesn't really matter too much. So for auras, you're using Hatred, Herald of the Ash, and Purity of Elements. Once you get this node over here, you could technically drop Hatred and use Grace if you feel like you're dying too much, but your damage should just carry you all the way through. And you'll do so much damage, you don't need to really worry about perfect links, and make sure Trinity and Precise Technique work. So if you're playing like Ranger, Duelist, or Shadow, and you're coming down over here, you'll notice that there's this node here that used to be Wind Dancer. It's called Precise Technique. So this is pretty much the elemental overload of attack skills. So you will do 40% more attack damage if your accuracy rating is higher than your maximum life. And we're able to get this much accuracy rating because we can later on use this Amulet Hina Core Sight, which gives us 1200 accuracy rating. So if you do take these accuracy nodes on the tree right here, and you could technically even take these if you really needed to, but you technically don't need to, because you can see here with all of the deck scaling and having Hina Core Sight, you can see your accuracy rating is 3,891. So this should be more than our life total, which is 3,000. So you will have this 40% more damage output. If you look at Smite, it's at 416k. You unspec it, it's a huge damage loss, right? So basically for the tree, you want to go to the cluster jewel. You want to make a beeline for utmost swiftness over here, which gives you a lot of dex. And percent dex, take the percent attribute mastery, and then try to get precise technique. And this should apply for pretty much any class, right? So if you're witch, or if you're marauder, or you're duelist, or Templar, you want to try to come down here as soon as possible. But obviously Scion, duelist, ranger, and shadow are going to have the best leveling experience with this setup. Now, let's see. What happens after you finish a campaign? So, after finishing the campaign, you're like, what am I going to do? My character's not that strong, right? But fear not. You will be able to fix your issues really fast. All you have to do is put on Garu Khan's Flight, which gives you a bunch of life because of 2 life per 10 dex. And then you want to put on Hina Core Sight still. You can technically switch out your rings if you really needed to. Get some rare rings with some attributes or dex and life, and that should help you out a lot. Although it might be very expensive, so it doesn't matter too much. Now, if you're a baller, switch to Mage Blood, use the Real Flask. That's what I did because I had the money. You can also switch to Fractal Dots, and that should give you a little bit more life too. You can also switch this over to a Brisk Wrap or Wild Wrap, a 6-link, and that should help you out a lot in your survivability. So you can see here, there's like some pretty easy, cheap gear upgrades you can do to make sure that you can do these Breach Stones. So these Breach Stones, you do it because they're a level 70 zone and it grants 100% increased experience, and there are also a lot of mob spawning. Each run should grant you roughly like 2 levels or so. So make sure you do all of your acts and then get all of your passive points, and then you do this. You can also do your lab or Merciless Lab before this or after, it doesn't really matter. So I decided to use Zoss Breach Stone as it was the least dangerous one. You don't really get shocked with Eshes and you don't get frozen with Holds, so that's why I chose Zoffs. So make sure your character has some defense, like I said, and a higher life pool, or a Breach Stone might be too dangerous. And if you're just like too bad or like your character is just too shitty, you can also do some Delve, and it's pretty fast. It's not going to be faster than Breach Stone, but it's definitely fast enough to get you to levels that you need. So now you're like, I'm level 70 now. How is this guy actually getting to level 90 or 95 in 4 hours, right? So yeah, the way you do it is you kind of cheat. You go to the TFTU Discord, you go to the 5-way hosting channel, and this is not the TFT Discord, and that's my channel, my Discord. So make sure to join my Discord if you want to check it out. Basically, the Forbidden Trove here. You can see here, there's some channels here. In this Archnemesis softcore services, you'll see 5-way hosting. And then you'll see all these wonderful people doing 5-way hosts, right? From every single region. And then you just have to whisper one of these people. And I think my mouse is messed up. But let's go back. Alright, so I don't know what happened there. But basically, you go to this channel over here. And you want to buy a rotation. So what a rotation means is it's 5 runs of the 5-way Legion emblem. And it costs around 2 to 2.5x. You want to be a client and you don't want to be a resetter. A resetter, you have to do a lot more work, but it's cheaper. But if you're a client, you will pay 2 to 2.5x before the 5 runs. And then you'll pretty much just stand AFK and just soak up XP. And in this one rotation of 5 runs, you will go from level 70 to 90. I tested it out yesterday. If you want to get to level 95, I think you need like 2 or 3 more rotations. Not entirely sure about this. Maybe less, maybe more. But you want to make sure to spec all your points into life nodes and wear gear with maximum HP and maximum resistances so you do not die to volatile. So you can see here, this is my character. I sat in 5 ways. And yeah, so I am running Purity of Lightning. I'm also running Purity of Elements. And someone in my group also has auras. So you pretty much can just stand AFK. And I just started trolling and putting all my points into life and some regen. So yeah, obviously we'll have to respec all of these points later on, but it doesn't really matter at this point in time because I just wanted to finish off Lovely as soon as possible, right? And let's go back to here. So yeah, just make sure you have maximum resistances so you don't die to volatiles, and make sure you don't take. So a 5-way carry guy actually gave me one of the flasks that gives you chaos, the forbidden taste, and it actually killed me, as you saw earlier on. So make sure you don't get baited by the 5-way carry to take a flask that actually kills you, because I was very, very sad. So what's the overall conclusion of this method? In real life, there's a saying that money is time. Wait, that's not the right saying. That time is money, right? So you can see here, time is spinning and money is ticking. So you can pretty much replace these series of exalts. But basically, you want to be spending the money in the 5 ways because it helps you to be able to do your farming method faster, right? So spending 2x to go from level 70 to 90 is a drop in the bucket compared to how long it would take for you to play a bad build all the way to 90 or 95, right? And the whole leveling experience is pretty enjoyable. If you've never tried out Hall of Palm before, it's pretty much like you're playing on steroids again. There's a super fast time of 4 to 5 hours to level 95, allowing you to try different builds and archetypes. So I do know a lot of people like to play Raider Lightning Strike purely because they're too lazy to roll off Raider or something like that, and they don't want to do Berserker. Well, here's your chance, right? 4 to 5 hours, you can double your damage, double your strength, double your everything, right? Double your size. So basically, this is also especially important if you want to play a build that requires you to be high level before the build can function, like Aura Stacker or Strength Stacking. A lot of people will ask me now, I'm trying to do an Aura Stacker, what level do I need to be, right? And the answer is always going to be pretty high level, like level mid 90s at least, because you need all of those points for the Aura effectiveness or Aura reservation. Or for Strength Stacking, you need all those points to fill up all your clusters, right? And get the extra projectiles from Phantom Blades. So basically, try this method out. This will let you have more fun in the league. It will allow you to spend less time leveling, less time doing the horrible campaign, and more time actually playing your favorite builds in the game. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more Mirrors, Exalts, and Mage Bloods than me. And make sure to like and subscribe down below and join my Discord if you have any questions. And see you next time. Bye.